We're coming towards a brand new week and we need to find out whether or not we're going to be going up or down in the crypto market. So in today's video, we're going to look through some of the charts. You guys are going to find out exactly how high or how low we can be expecting the price to go, where to be picking up your coins. But before we do get into that, guys, make sure you all are subscribed, because next week we're going to give you our top 5 altcoin picks for this bull run, and you guys, you don't want to miss this. Now guys, we're currently in 66 on the fear and greed index. This was nearly in extreme greed at this point last week, and it's great to see that we are cooling off in the fear and greed index. You're seeing that with Bitcoin having a pullback, altcoins retracing nearly 50% of the moves that it did make last week. The general crypto market is starting to take a bit of a chill pill when it does come to this index. If we do continue lower, which we're going to go into in a second, then you could expect the fear and greed index to go back into neutral, which historically has always been a pretty decent area to be picking up your altcoins. And again, if we do get an extended pullback to the 100 MA, then we may go back into fear. Now, when we come to the Coinbase chart, you're going to see that there's a golden cross appearing or approaching on the one-day Bitcoin chart. Last time this happened, we pumped all the way from 60k to 110k with our recent double top. What's going to happen this time, guys? So you can see here, we were all the way down here. We had a monstrous move, nearly 100% move. We've now had a big retracement back into the 70s. Looks like the same plan is playing out now. But one thing to bear in mind is that in these golden crosses, we usually have pullbacks into the golden cross, into the MA, to retest it before we do get that parabolic upside. So is this something that's going to happen again? Are we going to get another little one of these pullbacks to around 100k, maybe retest or thereabouts the 100 to 50 MA before we do get our last parabolic rally of the bull run? What we could do, guys, and something to bear in mind, are the Bitcoin liquidations. Now, if Bitcoin pumps 10%, 8 billion in liquidations. If it dumps 10%, 4 billion in liquidations. Which way is it going to go? Well, we actually did pick up some of the liquidations on the downside over the weekend, because when you go to the 3-day Binance perpetual chart, then you're going to see we did have some liquidation levels at around 100k. We still have a light liquidation at around 102k, but the majority of liquidations are above our head between 104 and 105k. So if we get a sweep low of around 1 to 2% to start off the week, then we could be trying to target those upper liquidation levels, which would really push us to the all-time high. And that's in line with something like this forming on the Bitstamp chart. And that's going to be the fact that Bitcoin looks like it is putting in, on the daily, a bull pennant, and the breakout target for this bull pennant is going to be 112k. And then lastly, before we get into our trading view, everything's aligning. The stars are aligning. Whales are buying Bitcoin at a pace we've never seen before. Something big may be cooking behind closed doors. And what you're going to see here, at least 250,000 Bitcoin accumulated by whales at this point in time, guys. And at all-time highs, we usually do see some sort of cool off in the accumulation, but what we're seeing now is a continued accumulation with a lot more whales, a lot more big institutions. You're seeing nation states starting to accumulate Bitcoin as well. This is generally bullish for the price of Bitcoin and our crypto bags. Now, a lot of you guys want to have a look at where we could be expecting to be going over the next week, and we're going to get into that. However, when we do look at the macro for the total 3, guys, we're about to cross bullish. Okay, we're about to get that RSI trend change, which means all the bearish momentum which we've been in since December should be coming to an end, and we should start to get something like this in the coming weeks, where maybe we get an extended 1 to 2 months, maybe 3 months max of extended upside. We go back into our must take profit zone where a lot of our altcoins are going to see significant growth. However, when you do come to the daily chart, guys, and you're going to see the 100 MA is looking like it wants a retest, and that's going to be around 92k. Now, this was 90k at the start of the week. However, you're going to see this thing rise with Bitcoin. Something to pay attention to is the fact that the MACD on the daily has now crossed bearish, so we could expect some bearish price action over the coming week. You can see here on the RSI, the MACD RSI was oversold or near oversold, so it could be coming down to neutral, maybe oversold again over the coming weeks. So we could get some price action that brings us down to this level to retest it. Again, what goes up must come down. It would be great to put in a higher low and then go for that all-time high and target the upper area of this channel. However, if we do break 92k, then we could be targeting around 88k for the price of Bitcoin, which would be really good for a long zone, and it would be really good for a long zone for our altcoins. However, something that we do need to see is Bitcoin to continue the bearish price action in the Bitcoin dominance pair, and right now this chart looks a little bit like a mess, but it looks like it wants to close the weekly above this support zone here, guys. So again, Bitcoin dominance maybe over the coming day or so could come down to retest before it does start to grind higher, which again wouldn't be too great for our altcoins. You see in the MACD start to cross bullish again, or is about to cross bullish again. And if all of this was just a big move down before we do get a continued grind up to 66k, then again it's going to be Bitcoin season, and we would need a continuation down for altcoin season to fully confirm. But the main thing that we're looking at now is if Bitcoin dominance does start to rise again, we wouldn't like to go above 65%. We'd like to put in some sort of lower high here, maybe a lower high to this zone here, right? So we break up all the way to 64.04%, and then we continue our downwards move, and this would bring the true alt season at a loss of 62%. So that's what could happen in the coming weeks, guys. We're going to find out exactly what to do next week. We've only got 1 day left until the start of the week. We're going to find out how the stock market does open. In next week's video, we're going to find out the 5 coins that all of you guys should be holding in your portfolio to maximize your profits in this bull run. So if you want that, click the like button, leave me a comment, subscribe to the channel. We're going to see you in the next one.